Last week, we started exploring vintage pattern companies outside the Big Four: Butterick, McCall's, Simplicity, and Vogue. We got halfway through the alphabet. Let's pick up where we left off and look at some more of these lesser-known companies in my collection. Maudella Patterns was started by Maud Helena Dunsford in West Yorkshire in 1937. These patterns were released until the 1980s when the company was sold to Simplicity. The patterns are unprinted and the size is stamped on the pieces, not on the envelope. There was a separate instruction sheet, but it was minimal. This dress or skirt and tunic pattern has an asymmetrical button closure and a wide belt. It's a lot of fun. Next, let's look at New Style, which is another mail order brand. The patterns I have are from 1948 and were purchased from the weekly Kansas City Star. This one even includes the original advertisement from the newspaper. They are both cute day dresses, and one even has a matching bolero jacket. New York patterns are one of my favorites. They started in the 1930s and were advertised in Ladies' Home Journal and Women's World magazines. They are characterized by the narrow pattern envelopes and distinctive line drawings. Most of mine are from the 1930s. I think this casual dress from 1932 is a classic. These two dresses pair great collar details with a slim pleated skirt. And I just love this one with large puff sleeves and a ruff. Pictorial Review Patterns were known for adapting models from famous designers. Earlier patterns often came in narrow envelopes, but they included instruction sheets. Here's a lovely dress with great sleeves from 1933 and a day dress with a sheared front from 1938. This gown pattern with a jacket has a crossover front and wonderful sleeves. Polynesian patterns were produced in Hawaii in the 1960s and 1970s. They included muumuus, shifts, lounging pajamas, jumpsuits, shirts, and bikinis. I have a couple of muumuu patterns and both have interesting back details. Notice the distinctive design on the pattern envelope. So Right is another mail order brand. These two house dresses from the 1950s have some great details. Spadea patterns were sold via mail order in the 1950s and 1960s. They were marketed as exact duplicates of original models designed by top fashion creators. The patterns were packaged the same as other mail order patterns, with a mailing envelope and the instruction sheet wrapped around the pieces. Unusually for the period, the pieces were unprinted. These two great sundresses have fabulous full skirts in the back. Another company which offered exact copies of designer garments was Star Patterns. Their patterns were duplicates of outfits worn by famous movie stars in the 1950s. These patterns featured a photo of the star wearing the outfit and were unprinted. The one I have is for an Oleg Cassini design for Jean Tierney. Superior Patterns were a house brand of Sears Roebuck and Company. They were available from the late 1800s until the 1940s. This pattern from the early 1940s has great sheared sleeves and a shaped bodice. Women's World patterns were very similar to New York patterns. The two that I have are very unique and feature long tunics over slim skirts. These patterns were also packaged in narrow envelopes. I love both these designs. This wraps up my review of lesser-known vintage pattern companies. Some of these patterns are more difficult to find, but well worth the effort. Just remember that they may be unprinted. Next week, it's pockets. We are always looking for pockets in clothing, and that's one of the reasons to sew your own. Many vintage patterns offer great pocket details. We'll take a look at some fabulous vintage pocket options. I put out videos every Tuesday, so make sure to subscribe to be notified when the next post comes out. Let me know if you have questions about working with vintage patterns below, and be sure to like if you found this helpful. Thank you.